Do you often feel tired despite adequate rest? So begins our exploration into a less recognized but equally serious manifestation of mental health concern known as silent depression. Silent depression, contrary to its name, speaks volumes, albeit in hushed whispers instead of loud cries. It's the constant fatigue that lingers even after a good night's sleep. It's the loss of interest in activities that once sparked joy, and the increasing preference for solitude over social interactions. It's the subtle changes that are easy to dismiss, easy to mistake for mere phases of life, but are in fact signs of a deeper struggle. This form of depression is often overlooked because it's not marked by the overt symptoms that we commonly associate with depression. There are no visible breakdowns, no explicit cries for help. Instead, it's a quiet battle fought behind closed doors, a silent scream that goes unheard. It's a thief that slowly, stealthily steals away vitality, leaving in its wake a shell of the person that once was. But just because it's silent doesn't mean it's less real or less serious. It's a pervasive issue, affecting millions of people around the world, and it's often the silent ones who need our help the most. But to help, we need to recognize the signs, understand its nuances, and know how to respond. That's why in the next few minutes, we'll delve into 15 signs that may hint at silent depression. These signs are not definitive proof, but they can serve as a starting point for understanding and acknowledging the presence of this hidden form of depression. Remember, recognizing these signs in yourself or someone else is the first step towards seeking help and beginning the healing process. Because silent depression doesn't have to be a life sentence. With awareness, understanding, and the right support, it's possible to reclaim the joy, the vitality, and the life that depression has stolen. It's possible to find one's voice amidst the silence. So let's take the first step together and begin to unravel the subtle complexities of silent depression. First on our list is persistent fatigue. It's not just about feeling physically tired, it's more like a constant state of exhaustion that seems to permeate every aspect of your life. It doesn't matter how much sleep you get, you wake up feeling drained. Daily tasks that were once a breeze now feel like you're climbing a mountain. It's like you're running on fumes with no energy left to spare. Next, we have loss of interest. This sign is not about the occasional boredom or momentary disinterest in your usual hobbies or activities. It's more about a pervasive sense of apathy or indifference towards things that used to bring you joy, happiness, or satisfaction. Imagine your favorite hobby or pastime, something that used to light a spark in your eyes. Now imagine that spark diminishing, leaving you feeling indifferent or even repelled by the very activity that used to make your heart sing. The third sign is change in appetite. This isn't about those days when you overindulge at a holiday feast or skip a meal because you're too busy. This is about a significant and consistent shift in your eating habits. You might find yourself eating far more than usual, using food as a comfort or a means to fill a void. Conversely, you might notice your appetite has dwindled, with meals becoming more of a chore than a pleasure. Food might lose its taste, and you might lose your desire to eat. These signs, persistent fatigue, loss of interest, and change in appetite, can subtly weave themselves into the fabric of your day-to-day life, often going unnoticed or dismissed as mere bad days. However, when they persist, they may be indicative of silent depression. It's crucial to recognize these signs, not to self-diagnose, but to understand when professional help might be necessary. These are just the first 3 signs. Let's move on. Next up, we have social withdrawal. Social withdrawal is a common indicator of silent depression. It's when individuals start to retreat from their usual activities and social circles. They may start to avoid friends, family, and social events, preferring solitude instead. This isn't just about needing a little alone time, which is perfectly healthy. It's a consistent pattern of isolation, where the person seems to be shutting themselves away from the world. Now, let's talk about irritability. When we think about depression, we often imagine sadness and tears, but irritability and short-temperedness can also be significant signs. People suffering from silent depression may exhibit frequent mood swings. They might get annoyed easily, react aggressively to minor inconveniences, or even just seem constantly on edge. This is because depression can heighten sensitivity to environmental stimuli, making it harder to regulate emotions effectively. Lastly, we have physical ailments. This is where things can get a little tricky because physical symptoms can be caused by a variety of factors. However, unexplained physical symptoms such as headaches, digestive problems, or even chronic pain with no apparent cause can sometimes be linked to silent depression. This is because our brain and body are interconnected, and emotional turmoil can manifest in physical ways. It's important to remember that these signs can look different for everyone. Some people might withdraw from others but not show signs of irritability. Others might struggle with physical ailments but maintain their social connections. There's no one-size-fits-all with depression, and that's why it's so crucial to pay attention to these signs, especially when they persist over time. Recognizing these signs can be a step towards understanding what you or a loved one may be going through. Remember, understanding is the first step to healing. So keep these signs in mind, and don't hesitate to reach out for help if you or someone you know might be silently battling depression. Difficulty concentrating is another sign to be aware of. This is not just about misplacing your keys or forgetting an appointment. We're talking about a consistent struggle to focus, to make decisions, or to complete tasks that were once manageable. This might manifest as an inability to follow through on work projects, a decline in school performance, or a general feeling of being overwhelmed by everyday tasks. It's as if a fog has settled over your brain, making it hard to think clearly or quickly. The eighth sign is sleep disturbances. This might involve trouble falling asleep, staying asleep, or even the opposite, excessive sleepiness. You might find yourself lying awake at night, thoughts racing, or feeling exhausted no matter how much sleep you get. Or perhaps you're sleeping more than usual, using sleep as an escape. It's important to remember that everyone has an off night now and then, but if sleep issues persist, it could be a sign of silent depression. Finally, we come to feelings of guilt. This is more than just feeling bad about forgetting a friend's birthday. It's a persistent, heavy sense of guilt or worthlessness that seems to color everything. You might blame yourself for things that are out of your control, or feel guilty for perceived failings or mistakes. This sign can be particularly damaging, as it can lead to a cycle of negative self-talk and self-blame, further deepening feelings of depression. These signs, difficulty concentrating, sleep disturbances, and feelings of guilt, may not seem serious on their own. But when they persist, when they start to interfere with your life, they could indicate a form of silent depression. It's important to recognize these signs in yourself or others. Awareness of these signs can potentially lead to early intervention. Increased substance use is a sign that's often overlooked. It's not uncommon for individuals battling silent depression to turn to alcohol, drugs, or other substances as a means of coping. This is not about the occasional indulgence, but rather a consistent, unhealthy pattern that serves as an escape from emotional pain. These substances may offer temporary relief, but they're far from a solution. They simply mask the underlying issues and can even exacerbate the symptoms of depression in the long run. The 11th sign, loss of purpose, can be particularly debilitating. When a person feels aimless or without a sense of purpose in life, it can be a clear indication of silent depression. This can manifest as a lack of motivation or enthusiasm towards future plans or goals. They may question their role in life, feeling as though they're merely going through the motions without any real direction or purpose. This loss of purpose can lead to feelings of emptiness, dissatisfaction, and despair, making it a significant sign of silent depression. Lastly, we come to neglecting self-care. This sign is often easier to spot, but it's frequently dismissed as laziness or a lack of discipline. Individuals with silent depression may start ignoring their personal hygiene, neglecting self-care routines, or letting their physical appearance deteriorate. They may skip meals, fail to maintain their living space, or ignore basic grooming habits. This neglect of self-care is not due to a lack of concern about their appearance or health, but rather a symptom of the overwhelming feelings of hopelessness and fatigue that accompany silent depression. Understanding these signs can help in identifying silent depression. Recognizing these symptoms in oneself or others is the first step towards seeking help and beginning the road to recovery. Remember, it's always okay to reach out, to speak up, and to ask for help. Silent depression may be a silent struggle, but it doesn't have to be a solitary one. Lastly, we'll discuss escapist behaviors. This sign of silent depression is often easy to overlook, as it can be mistaken for simple leisure activities. However, when these activities like excessive screen time, gaming, or other forms of escapism become a constant refuge from reality, it may be an indication of an underlying issue. These behaviors can serve as a coping mechanism, allowing individuals to escape from their thoughts, feelings, or the reality that they find overwhelming. Moving on to physical pain. It may seem strange to link physical discomfort with a psychological condition, but the mind and the body are deeply interconnected. Unexplained physical pain, such as muscle tension or aches, can be a sign of silent depression. This is because chronic stress and depression can lead to physical symptoms. It's the body's way of signaling that something isn't right. Lastly, let's talk about masking emotions. This can be one of the most deceptive signs of silent depression. Individuals may put on a happy or normal facade in social situations, even when they're feeling the opposite internally. This is often an effort to hide their struggles from others, possibly out of fear of judgment or misunderstanding. It's a way of protecting themselves, but at the same time, it can further isolate them and prevent them from seeking the help they need. It's important to remember that these signs are not definitive proof of silent depression. They're indicators that something might be wrong. And if you or someone you know is experiencing several of these signs, it could be beneficial to reach out to a mental health professional for a proper evaluation. These last signs wrap up our list of 15 signs of silent depression. But remember, recognizing these signs is just the first step. The journey towards understanding and addressing silent depression is a continuous process that requires compassion, patience, and professional guidance. We've covered a lot of ground today, discussing 15 signs of silent depression. It's important to remember that these signs are not definitive proof of depression, but they are indicators that something may not be quite right. We talked about persistent fatigue, and how feeling constantly tired or lacking energy despite adequate sleep and rest can be a sign of silent depression. We discussed the loss of interest in activities or hobbies that used to bring joy and satisfaction, and how significant changes in eating habits, either overeating or having a diminished appetite, can also be warning signs. We also considered social withdrawal, irritability, and unexplained physical symptoms such as headaches or digestive problems. Difficulty concentrating, trouble sleeping, and persistent feelings of guilt or worthlessness were also highlighted as potential signs. We delved into the issue of increased substance use, and how turning to alcohol, drugs, or other substances as a coping mechanism can be a sign of silent depression. We noted the feeling of aimlessness or lack of purpose in life, and how neglecting self-care routines or letting physical appearance deteriorate can also be indicators. We touched on escapist behaviors like excessive screen time or gaming as a way to avoid reality. We discussed unexplained physical pain such as muscle tension or aches, and how putting on a happy or normal facade in social situations while feeling the opposite internally is a common characteristic of silent depression. But the key takeaway from our discussion today is not to self-diagnose or jump to conclusions. These signs are merely indicators that you or someone you know may be struggling. It's crucial to seek professional help if you identify with these signs. Mental health professionals can provide an accurate diagnosis and guide you through the process of understanding and managing your symptoms. Depression is a serious mental health condition, but it's also treatable. There are many resources available, from therapy and medication to support groups and self-care strategies. But the first step is always recognition and understanding. And finally, let's remember to be kind to ourselves and to others. We never know what someone else is going through. And if you or someone you know is struggling, it's important to remember that it's okay to ask for help. Depression can make you feel isolated, but you're not alone. There are professionals who can help, and there are also countless individuals who have walked this path before you and have come out stronger on the other side. There is always hope, and there is always help available. Remember, it's okay to ask for help. You're not alone in this journey,